Welcome to the Value of Recruitment podcast with me, Jon Brooks. Sponsored by Atlas, the recruitment platform helping you become an AI-powered recruiter. This week, my guest is Angela Cripps, Managing Director of the Recruiting Gym. Angela has an incredible track record of coaching and training recruiters from around the world and even on TV. We talk about the opportunities that recruitment brings, which covers everything from students to job seekers to new consultants to recruitment leaders and onto our clients. As you would expect from a top coach, Angela shares a huge amount of valuable advice, examples, and tangible suggestions that will help you make your work more valuable. Enjoy the show. I hope you find it valuable. Angela, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jon. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. You are, I've known you for, in fact, since I set up my business, I think, and you are so well networked and you're such, you coach and you train people all around the world. So you have such a good range of experience to talk through and obviously different perspectives on recruitment and the value of recruitment, which is what I want to talk about. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So we're going to kick off with the big question. In your eyes, how valuable is recruitment?
Oh, goodness. I mean, it is such a big question, but it's a big answer as well, isn't it? When I looked at sort of your title and I thought value recruitment, I immediately went back to 1994. So 30 years ago, something happened as I was running a team of recruiters, and it really hit home to me that the value of recruitment. I wasn't worldly wise, didn't know what was going on in the world, but suddenly had a young gentleman of 18 come into our office and say, didn't know what he wanted to do, happy to do anything, he just wanted to work. So he really stuck with me. Moses Mapundu, if you ever get to hear this, please do reach out. I'd love to know where you are now, 30 years later. He was from Rwanda. I didn't know what was going on in Rwanda. I just knew this young gentleman needed work. He was eligible to work. And we said, well, if you don't know, we've got 4 different sectors. We'll put you to work in each of them. We'll give you temporary work in each of them, and then you decide. So he did that for a few months, found that catering was his calling, took his qualifications, ended up as a qualified chef. His brother came over as well. They were sending all the money back to Rwanda and to their family. And I knew at that point how much we were helping someone to make a difference to their lives. And if we take each recruitment element as that, if we think about every person as we get the chance to change their lives, and there's not many jobs that do that, as well as have some fun along the way, but yeah, it's so valuable to clients, to getting the right people. We saved a business. They actually said to us, we've got 4 sales jobs, don't tell them, but if they're not very good, we're gone in 6 months. That company now actually produces something like 80%. I won't say the industry that they're in, but yeah, 30 odd years later, they produce 80% of what they do in the world. They're still going and they're amazing. So that they could have gone. If we didn't do a good job, if we didn't get them 4 good salespeople, they were gone in 6 months. So hopefully those 2 stories really show the impact that we can make as recruiters. Yeah,
I love those. Really nice. And you're right. There's 2 sides to it. I focus a lot on the client side because we think about how do we persuade clients to work with us because we're valuable. But yeah, we absolutely can't forget what we do with candidates. I love that. I haven't had someone on that client example. I haven't heard someone say before, "Oh, we saved a business." But yeah, obviously that client you were working with was just, so close to the edge. And we're so honest with you saying...
I bet there's loads of people out there that if they had the conversation with their client, it might be that the client wasn't willing to share it, but that was the difference as well. We really wanted to get to know the client, the company, the future of the company. So all those questions that we asked brought out, well, actually, we're not sure about our future. And they felt comfortable enough to share that with us. And it was a real dilemma because it's then... okay, they've asked us not to tell. the people, and if they do a good job, it's not going to be an issue. But there was still that moral dilemma. We're putting people into a job that potentially couldn't be there. So, oh my God, did we work hard on that and make sure that it was right? So be honest, everyone. It will really help you in the long run.
Yeah. Well, as you say, it's the value of sitting down with a client and really getting to know them, rather than, if you're just taking it on, a surface level information and said, great, you need 4 salespeople, we'll get some people who are local and who fit, then you would have missed out on how important that was.
Yeah, and we made a commitment to ourselves as well. If it didn't work out, we were going to do everything to make sure those people were okay. Plus all the staff in the company. And again, we're in that situation, the value of recruitment when redundancies are happening and it's a recession. There's great candidates there. So, let's make sure that we reach out and we help. We don't just ignore it. I live not far, about 15 miles from Vauxhall, who just made the announcements that they're going to be closing down at Luton. So, hopefully recruiters are reaching out to all those people and to HR and supporting them and helping them. Yeah,
you see that on LinkedIn these days, don't you? Yeah. It's a lovely message to see when a recruiter says, really sad news here, look, I'll help in any way I can, but actually in one sense that's going on all the time. There's always someone in that position, and again, I think most of the time it doesn't always get posted, it doesn't always go noticed, but recruiters are doing those things. So I love that framing of it. So obviously you had a long recruitment career yourself before you went into training and coaching. So first of all, when you were recruiting, from your experience, how did you stand out from other agencies? How did you get to the point with a client like that one where they would open up to you and they did trust you?
And I get sort of this thrown at me because it was 35 years ago and people say, but it wasn't as competitive back then. I'm not sure that that's true. We had a 5-mile radius. That was it. So because we had locations all around us, we were only able to work within a 5-mile radius. And within that 5 miles, there were 52 agencies that were our competitors. I reckon that's pretty high. So
that's competitive. Yeah,
exactly. So we had to be competitive. We had to stand out. So it was always lateral thinking with us. There was 10 of us in the branch. Our manager was amazing, Michelle Nickerson-Rolls. And we would take time out to plan. We would take time out to think about what's coming up. We would do PESEL analysis to what's going on in our location, as well as what's happening nationally that could affect us and our clients as well. And then we would have those types of conversations. So I'm so glad that we've brought back Hiring Happiness with a PESEL twist this year. So that's our podcast. Give it a quick plug. For people to do those type of things, to then be able to stand out to their competitors. So let me just fire a few things off here because again, it's going to help. The salary surveys. We would call 500 clients over a period of a month. So between the 10 of us, 50 clients each, and just do a salary survey. We would have the list of the positions that we'd filled over the last year, and we would ask them for their lowest salary, their highest salary, and their average. And we would then gather all of that data for all of those positions, pull it all together and create a salary survey that all the people that were involved would get a copy first, and then of course would try and get in the news and the local paper and try and get everyone else out to see it. But it was such a great way to reach out to companies to say, look, we're doing the research, we want to find out what's happening in the local market, and we do it every 6 months. So once we've done it once or twice, they were expecting it. It was an easy conversation. They were asking, when's the next one out? We're not sure our salaries are in the right place. Things like that could make a real difference. We got the local college involved to make sure that our branding, our window, literally. So if you have got a location where you've got a window, get your local college involved to design it. So it would change 4 times a year with the seasons. We'd pay for the materials. They'd use it as part of their college work. And we got these amazing designs. They would come and install it as well. They'd be able to take photos. So sometimes it's just about thinking laterally. What can you do to, one, help your customers? So the salary survey really helped the candidates to make sure they were getting paid what they should be getting paid. The clients obviously got insights and the pestle analysis and sharing things like that. The community, we made sure we were ingrained in the community so that we could help and support, and details that were shared, and then people would see our name in different lights. So it wasn't always you're just ringing up about recruitment. That's not what it was. It was about us supporting that 5-mile radius and every company within it to make sure that they could be successful. So what is it that you're doing that makes you stand out? What I did love, your first episode, Sir Alec Reid, when he was talking about the foundation. I don't know if you want to share a few details on that, because I just thought that was amazing about the sharing the money for that.
Yeah, I mean, that was really nice. I mean, obviously, Reid is more than 60 years old now as a business, but they were fortunate. Decades ago, they set up the Reid Foundation, and in effect, it owns 20% of the Reid business, or thereabouts. And Sir Alec Reid talks about, it's such a good thing to talk about with everyone, as you say, with the community in every sense. So clients, candidates, and the employees of Reid. So when I was working there, the message was, look, in effect, one day a week you're working for charity, which is really powerful. Again, in your 20s, you maybe can't do that much for charity financially, but you think, well, we're making this a successful business, and you then see the results of that. Really powerful. But equally, it doesn't have to be a multi-million-pound foundation. I love your example. Knowing I talk a lot about niches. Geography can absolutely be a niche. And I've spoken to so many recruiters who are really local to their geography, and a lot of their competition comes from a big agency that has an office in London or in Manchester. But we're talking UK here. There's so much in between. And that big agency in London or Manchester or wherever is not going to get that connection with the local college. They're not going to have that. The salary survey for a 5-mile radius, that's incredible. So having that depth of knowledge is incredible.
Yeah, and getting involved with the Chamber of Commerce and things like that. So if you are local, there's so much you can do to be involved and to be part of that. If you're national, we've done quite a bit this year on B Corp. So again, it's what do you stand for is how you're going to stand out. You're not necessarily going to stand out with regards to the fact that we're an honest and true recruitment company that really likes to support our clients. Yeah. Well, so does everyone else. How does that make you different? Surely that's what everyone wants. So therefore, what is it that you really stand for? What are your values? Start looking at that and how you can leverage that, because I think that way it's truthful. Then it's authentic. People will buy into it in the sense of, okay, they're doing a good thing. So I didn't know that about Reid at the time until I listened to your podcast. But there's so many people with that, wanting that sense of purpose, and therefore, actually, if I am very charitable, the fact that I'm working one day a week for charity and I can honestly say that to myself, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think as recruiters, we can get sucked into only talking about jobs, only phoning up a client and saying, have you got a job, or how can we help you? When's the next job coming on? I think we're getting much better at realizing we need to be more consultative and talk around that. And on one level, that's a business sense, a commercial sense, saying, how can we help you? The salary surveys is a nice example. The world of work is changing so much. A lot of people on this podcast have talked about data that you can offer your clients that maybe they haven't seen, whether it's local data or demographic data. There's so much out there. Finding ways to engage the clients beyond that commerciality, to say, well, what else is important? Actually, we do take the time to think about the planet, and we do take the time to think about the community. I think that's really powerful, and builds that relationship. We're all looking to think, how do we get a closer relationship to a client? Well, if that's important to them and it's important to us, that's a great connection to have.
And also having those types of conversations. Well, what is more interesting for both of you?
True.
So if you're struggling with that, reach out. I've been collating lovely open questions on about 25 different topics that you should be talking to your clients about. So there's a good 200-300 questions there that you can utilise and you put into your conversations. But also, it's about being a consultant. It's the title is in there, isn't it? The name's in the title, and yet we're still in a scenario where having to tell people that no, don't just reach out and say, have you got any jobs? I can remember that being bashed into me in my first week in recruitment. That's not who we are. That's not what we do. That's the job centre. That's what they're doing there. It's just put people out to work and to fill jobs. We're recruitment consultants. We consult, we help businesses, we help candidates find the right career path for themselves. We make a difference. So if you're not of that mindset, then maybe go work for job centres.
Yeah. So that was some great examples from your experience. Yeah. Since then, you've travelled the world coaching and training recruitment businesses. So can you give us some examples of the ways that agencies in very different markets stand out or do things differently?
Yeah, I think one company that I work with in both Hong Kong and London, a communications agency, really deep dive into the market and produce amazing market reports every year that are fully bound, gorgeous books that hard copies that get sent out with hard covers, giving an oversight of everything and anything that's happened in that year, as well as predictions for the future. So if you're in that market, you would want to work with them to be able to get access to those types of details. And it's something like that can make a huge difference. You've then got people that, again, very, very charitable and use that as their way in, whether that's thinking of a client in Hartford that sponsors the local football team and all the T-shirts are all of theirs. So again, you never know who that 10-year-old little boy or girl's mum or dad is. And that was something that always hit home to me when the students used to come in and register. I mean, people used to have signs saying no students, like no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. It was just horrendous. So they got such a bad deal, and therefore we took it upon ourselves to help them as much as we could. I mean, gosh, we had 1,500 temps out. We had a lot of work. So we should be able to find them work. And again, that made us stand out. We were helping them. We would get their parents calling us from a company, HR director of a business, saying, you really helped my son. Thank you. Can we talk about working with you? So again, it's easy to be kind and to be helpful in some way, shape, or form, even if you can't help them. I think that's how a lot of clients of mine that we interpret, even if you can't help them in some way. So whether that's some advice, whether that's direction as to what they could do to make a difference, whether that's supporting them with information about qualifications of an area maybe that they're looking to get into. I know we're not the careers advisors, but I mean, careers advisors, certainly I got rubbish careers advice. It wasn't forefront, and we're trying to change that in schools. And here you go. Here's one way you can stand out. National Interview Month. February goes into the first week of March next year. If you're interested in doing this, so this is an approach to give children in schools an interview practice to help them to get into the world of work. And we're looking for 16,000 interviews. So 16,000 children having that experience. Now, our recruitment industry could cover that easily. So get involved. I've reached out to the REC and APSCO and the firm and TRN and team and all of these places, and they're all starting to get involved because that's something that we can do to stand out, to give back. And yes, you're going to get some good PR out of it, but oh my goodness, aren't you going to feel good about helping the next generation get into work? We can't afford for them to not have those skills, to not know what they want to do, to be sort of hanging around for years. Well, I was the same. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I've been in sales since 10. I set up my first company when I was 10 with my best friend.
Amazing.
With a price list and business cards that we took around the local houses. So I knew it was going to be salesy of some sort, but no idea whatsoever. So let's give some direction and some support and some help. So if you want to get involved in that, please do reach out.
I love that. Well, yeah, good call. Definitely do that. And I'll see if I can get involved in some way. Without banging on too much about pricing to them. I'm not sure teenagers want to hear about pricing strategy. My career advisor, I can't really remember them, but I'm pretty sure they didn't say I should be a pricing consultant.
I was a journalist, and actually it came out because again, you just filled out a questionnaire and it popped out what you should be. I think journalist would have been good. But
I think you could have done that. Very people business. So yeah, just not so much sales in it.
Probably not, no.
But I like that. I think, a theme I often see is, recruiters, it's a very human trait. We don't value the skills we have. We think they're normal. We think everyone has everything. Everyone can do what we can do. Everyone knows what we know. But they're so powerful. Recruiters, we sometimes undervalue ourselves and don't realize, just sitting down with someone and saying, whether it's updating a CV or interview advice or, career direction advice, there's so much we've just picked up through our time in recruitment that it does add value.
It's 15 jobs in one. So if you're a good recruiter, there is so much to your job. And again, that's what I love about our industry and those opportunities, because you can then decide to hone in on a certain area that you really enjoy and expand on that one part of the 15. And that's still a job in itself in our industry. You can create it. You can make yourself a job. And I think I don't watch it anymore, but I certainly still see, and I've just been linked up with a lady that did very well recently, The Apprentice. How many times is it that recruiters, when they come up and they say the recruiter, I think, they're going to do all right. And they're really good, usually. Famous one being Lee McQueen, who I trained a year or so before he went on there when he was at Capita. And these people are amazing. They're really capable. So if that's not a career that you've considered, recruitment can teach you so much and really sets you up for the world in general, is my belief. It's so valuable in that way.
Yeah, it's a good point. Maybe this is why they don't let us into careers advice centres, because we'd be like, just do recruitment. Everyone do recruitment. It's great. Everyone is talking about AI-powered recruiters. But what does that actually look like? With Atlas as your CRM, it means every interaction with your candidate is automatically captured and searchable. If they mention their salary in an email, it's instantly recorded without you having to write anything. And behind the scenes, Atlas discovers every company that a candidate has worked for, the industries those companies operate in, as well as things like company size and description. All this means you can do your job much faster and add more value to your clients. To learn more about Atlas, go to recruitwithatlas.com. I completely agree, and it slightly ties back to that 15 careers in one. You don't have to, it's impossible to be good at all of those 15 parts of the job, but you focus on one or two, whether it's more on the marketing side, more on the sales side, more on the kind of commercial understanding, there's even kind of analytics to it. The deeper you go, the more value you can create. And again, coming back to standing out and differentiating yourself, the examples you've given and other examples from other episodes of the podcast, no one's ever inventing anything new. What they're doing is taking something and really committing to it and really doing it well. And that, Mike Richards, for example, he set up a podcast. He's now done 350 episodes. It feels like he's interviewed everyone in his industry. He's in demand. People pay to go and see him talk and do podcasts and things. So it's not that you have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to say, right, that's the wheel I'm doing, and I'm going to do it well.
That's what I love about our industry as well. There's always something new coming up. We tend to be early adopters. So there's something there. We want to know all about it. We want to know how we can utilise it. And each time, a lot of the time, it will say, oh, well, this is going to mean we don't need recruiters. I think there's been 3 of those already in the last 20 years. Right, well, that's going to wipe out. Job boards are going to wipe out recruiters. Yeah, LinkedIn's going to wipe out recruiters. AI is going to wipe out recruiters. No, because these are all tools that we end up incorporating into what we do. But it's the people element. I don't think that'll ever be replicated. And therefore, if you're not people orientated, if you're not all about the relationship, the understanding, the nuances that we utilize it in recruitment, then maybe you will be out of a job. But true recruiters, no, never.
Yeah, I think that's why it's exciting. I think it is going to be, we're going to be more valuable. We're going to focus more on how we can help clients, and and I see that a lot. Yeah, and that's why I like this podcast. I like bringing people on who have examples. So let's jump into that question, and we can look long-term or short-term future. How do we make recruitment more valued by clients? So I guess that's more about what we're doing now. I think there's a general feeling that clients always don't always see all this good stuff that we do. So in your experience, how can we do better at that?
There is a simple short answer to that, is we don't tell them. We very rarely actually explain what we're going to do for them. We talk about the price, we may negotiate on the price without actually looking at all of those value adds. And therefore, if they don't know, we can't assume that they understand how it all works. And therefore, we're doing ourselves a disservice in that point. And one of the words that I ban, there's a few as I go through training, it's like, right, let's get rid of that one because that's really not helping you, is the standard terms of business. As soon as we say, oh, these are our standard terms, it's like, okay, so you've got other terms then. These are just the basic ones. Let's talk about the others. We do ourselves in every time. We bring the objection to us. We're not confident enough about the value that we bring. And therefore, we're too quick to negotiate and we're too quick to drop our prices. So I think that's one thing that I've tried to hold true throughout every recession. Is it the 4th one that I've been through now? That if you start dropping your prices, oh my goodness, it's so hard to get them back up again. So let's not do that. Let's get inventive. Let's get creative. This is where I love your Goldilocks analogy. I used it yesterday in a client meeting. It's like, give them 3 options. One will be right for them. They get to choose. They get to decide. As a recruiter, I always took the alternative close wherever I could rather than a direct close. It sat better with me. Give them a choice. They get to choose. Of course, you're controlling what that choice is. Even with regards to whether you put it first or second will have an impact psychologically as well. So there's things that you can do to get what you were hoping for. But certainly there's no reason why you can't have those detailed discussions with them to share the process, share what you're going to do, lay it out, go through it. And I think what's missing a lot of the time is the recruitment plan. So part of the recruitment process is, okay, yes, find the client, find the job, take the job on. And that should be detailed information about the job, the person, and the team and the company. So there's 4 areas there straight away. It's not going to be a 5-minute conversation. So let's not devalue that. That's so important to get right, because that then helps set the tone for the conversations that you're going to have in the future, but also the information that you need to make a great match. Otherwise, you're just guessing. You got the information. That's no good to anyone. But the second point...
oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on, dive in.
No, I was just going to say on that point, because I think it's a really important point. One thing I say to people I work with is slow down. Slow down at the start. Yeah. Now, even if speed is your strength, your USP is filling roles really quickly. Even if a client wants a role filled really quickly, slow down at the start, make sure you've taken the time and got the time from the client to create that plan. Because if not, it's just hectic, it's just haste, it's not speed. So slow down, say, look, this is important, engage the client, get what you need, and then you can go off and find people and call as many people as quickly as possible and get that job filled really quickly. But you've got to start slow and put value into the process at the start. So I love that. But that was point one. So bring us on.
Well, then that leads to making the plan. And this is what I see that's missing from recruiters. You've gathered all that information. You've worked on your service levels. You've identified what you're going to do, what they're going to do, how you're going to do it. Does it actually get written down and agreed? And so when I share an example recruitment plan with companies, they're like, oh, okay, we don't do this. Okay, well, this is the bit that now consolidates everything else. Here's your plan that you're working to. Here's your dates. Here's your service levels. Here's everything you've agreed to. If it's not written out easily to keep referring back to work to push the client on if they're faffing about and you're not meeting the time frames, then again, you can pull them back. This is what we agreed. You wanted this start date for this person. If we don't hit these timelines, that's going to slip. So let's move on. So it gives you the opportunity to be assertive. But if you haven't written it down and got them to agree to it, then it gets lost along the way. And then it just happens as it happens. And unfortunately, that's not organised recruitment. And therefore, you lose your value because they can't see that you're actually doing what you said you're going to do.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. If it's, you need to make it tangible to go, oh, yeah, they're doing all these things and they need me at this point. Yeah, I have to be part of this process because it's important. Means it's valuable. If it's like, oh, yeah, we'll get to it. We'll leave it. We'll send you some CVs later. It's hard to pin down. It's often not that clients don't trust us, but if there's nothing to trust, the seed of doubt is sown. Whereas if you say, great, I'm going to give you a call every Friday. We're going to book that in now. We've got 10 a.m. Friday. I'm going to update you. Even when there's no update, we just have a quick call. It'll only be 2 minutes, and that will happen sometimes. But it's always there. You say, okay, that's tangible. That's real. Therefore,
yeah, and if it's in the diary and they've clicked and accepted it, it's going to happen. You're not going to forget to call them, and they know it's coming. And if they need to move it, they can move it. But at least they know this is what's happening. And to me, that was really important as well. Even no update is an update. So let them know what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, communication comes up so much in these conversations, and may come up again, because the next question is, how do we make recruitment more valuable for clients? So as recruiters, what more can we do beyond what the average recruitment consultant is doing for a client?
Well, I think this comes from data. So if you don't know your stats, then you're going to struggle to make it more valuable for the client. So what research have you done on what you do and how you do it? And this links back to potentially how you stand out, because once you've done the analytics and worked out what your fill rate is for exclusive clients compared to clients with 2 agencies, 3 agencies, 4 agencies on it, that sells itself straight away, because you will be so much higher fill rate, success rate with those exclusive clients. I'm working with a company at the moment. There we go. That's how they stand out. Theirs is 99.85%. It's literally like I have 1,000 bookings. They might not fill one or two.
That's one that didn't work, right? Yeah.
Exactly. It's phenomenal. And you just think, okay, who's going to better that? Very unlikely. So straight away, they can see the value of working with that agency. Now, yes, don't leave it to let them work it out for themselves. Put the benefits across. Let them know how that's going to impact them. By being able to rely on them, to have that trust, that confidence, they're not going to be worrying at night. They know that shift's going to get filled. They're not going to have to work themselves maybe to cover it. Again, it's identifying the needs, but then it's the consequence of those needs not being met. And that's one of the critical questions that needs to be asked. Follow it through. Don't just go, oh, you need someone for this. Great. Okay, let's work on that. No, keep going. Find out how critical it is, what's going to be the impact, what would that lead to if it doesn't happen, how's it going to make them feel. Make it so that it is really tangible for them and they can see the value of having a trusted partner that they can rely on that's going to make a difference to them, make them look good as well. It could be a vanity thing, whatever their drivers are. But if it's security, that percentage is going to make them feel really comfortable. If it's time, great. I know I'm not going to have to get it refilled, or it's not going to happen. They're not going to turn up and things are going to be an issue. If it's money, okay, well, time is money. That's going to be quick. So I love that old adage of those three things. You can either have it quick. What is it? You can either have it fast, cheap, or quality, isn't it? So
good. Yeah.
You can only pick two out of those three, because if it's fast and it's quality, it's not going to be cheap. And those type of elements to realise that what you do is so valuable. It's identifying what's the value for that client, what is important to them, so that then you can identify, well, which piece of information about us is going to give them the confidence that we can do that for them.
Yeah.
We've lost that art of selling that, really, I think.
Yeah, and a couple of thoughts you've kind of sparked in my mind. First of all, it's just the mirror of the client and the candidate work we do. On both sides, you're looking for the drivers, right? The motivation. So, of course, I think we focus more on this with candidates. We say, look, you've got to know what their motivations are to move job, to take a new job. Are they likely to say yes to this job? Are they going to want to interview here?
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, excuse me. But absolutely, the client has drivers, has motivations, and again, if you haven't taken the time to understand them, then you won't know how you can. Come on, we're all people pleasers at the end of the day in recruitment. You want to make them happy. You want to exactly as you said, make them look good, make them use you again. So you've got to know what their driver is. The other thing, picking up on something you talked about earlier, I often think with clients, you want to get them to put themselves in someone else's shoes. But actually, if you're talking to a senior director and you're talking about the candidate experience, actually it may be their son or daughter or their niece or nephew going through that experience. They don't have to put them. Yeah, it's hard for someone in their 50s or 60s to think, oh, what would that be like to go to an interview for the first time? But actually, what would my son or daughter feel like if they never heard from the recruiter again, or if they were offered an interview and then never got any feedback? It's finding, again, it's that creative way of finding ways to engage the client to see the value. So yeah, love that.
I'm so glad you brought up feedback there. It's something we've been working on quite a bit this year. We've been doing work with large corporations, sort of 15, 20,000 employees, and working with their recruitment teams. We work in recruitment, but it could be any company around the world. And what's been great is they've been spending time and spending money on the hiring managers and the recruiters within the teams in-house to make sure that they are doing best practice. So we get the chance to talk about how important feedback is to everyone in that process, certainly from a branding point of view of their own, making them stand out from their competitors, and for the recruiter's point of view of that relationship with the candidate and the impact that it can have. So a 5-minute conversation around feedback. And again, get these in the diary. You've booked into the diary when that interview is going to be for your candidate. So book the feedback as part of that process. Ideally, you want them quite close together, and then maybe it's the end of the day. You can actually have the discussion and get it all done in one day is your ideal, but we know life's not like that. But get it in the diary and say to them, I'm looking for 2 positives, 2 development areas, 2 things that you think if they'd done better, they might have got the job, or if they were really not going to get the job, what could they do that could help them for the next time? But they should be people that are suitable. They're your candidates. You're putting them through. So therefore, they should be able to do the job. So what was it they missed out on? There should be an answer to that. And if we can give that feedback to candidates, that's going to make their life so much easier next time around. They're going to know how to adapt and change. Otherwise, they're going to make the same mistakes at the next interview.
Yeah. One that reminds me of something that so a previous guest on the podcast, Clodagh Murphy, said when she was a client, when she was COO, she wanted to be managed. So it's not, she didn't want, she was spinning 1,000 plates to keep her business going. She didn't want the recruiter saying, oh, yeah, can you remember to give me feedback when you've got time? She was like, no. It wasn't just about feedback, but it's like, right, put some time in my diary. Yeah. Tell me what I need to do. Don't just say I need feedback. I love the way you put that. I want 2 good pieces of feedback and 2 areas where they could work on or where the fit wasn't quite right. Okay, that's doable. I don't have to turn my brain on to the next level to be able to work out what I'm doing. I just do what I'm told. Like clients, maybe even more so senior clients, want to be managed. They want their lives to be easier. And we know what the right answer should look like. So you don't want to hide it. You don't want to make it harder for them. It's not a test. It's we want the information they have.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to make it easier for them, start collating all of those pieces of feedback. So yes, that bit of feedback is specific to that candidate, but it will be a generic thing that could relate to other people as well. So if you start collating and you've got 30 pieces of positive feedback, 30 pieces of development areas that you could then share in a document with your client and say, okay, think for yourself, but if you're struggling, here's a list. I bet that will trigger something. Again, just making it easy. I love lists. It's much easier to go, oh no, that's right, that one, brilliant.
Yeah,
and you might
checklists,
get 3-4 pieces of information instead.
Yeah, same whether it's consultants negotiating with clients, whatever it is, having that checklist. There was a great thing I was taught years ago. The types of business, when you think checklist, you think, oh, clipboard, you just kind of literally it's a tick box
exercise. We're old. I bet the younger generation doesn't think clipboard. They go, what?
True. Some kind of to-do app on their phone. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, you're just making me sound old now.
Trello, not clipboard.
Yeah. But no, you think of the jobs where it's essential to have checklists. So it's astronauts, it's doctors, it's brain surgeons don't wing it. They don't think, oh, I hope I remember to do everything. They have a list and they go through it very carefully. Astronauts don't just say, well, I've practiced, so I'll just fly up to the moon again. They have a checklist.
They do have it on a clipboard, actually. The films we see, it was a clipboard in the space shuttle or wherever they were. They were ticking it off. So,
Yeah.
Because making a comeback.
Yeah, and as NASA often says, there's nothing better than a pencil. For all the other fancy ways of doing things, pencil on a piece of paper.
If you're wondering what that refers to, listeners, that was the Russians spending hundreds of thousands of rubles to create a pen that could write upside down so that they could do it in space, that they didn't need gravity for it. And the Americans just came back and went, we used a pencil. Love it.
Which is, I think recruiters can learn a lesson from that. Don't focus on the problem. Focus on, hang on, what answer are we trying to get to? Is it, if we need to talk to our clients more, cool, just put some time in their diary.
Yeah.
Problem solved. We don't need to give it a fancy title. We don't need to moan about it on LinkedIn. Just find the solution.
And you're right that the higher up people are, the more they need that support, because they're expected to do everything. So my clients that I work with, sort of MDs and owners of recruitment companies, what they love about me is I'll send them an action point list after our coaching session. And we might not be meeting for 2 weeks to follow up on it, but goodness, the day before, everything gets done. It might not be during those 2 weeks when it was meant to be happening, but it does get done because they've got that list. They just work through it, they tick it off, and they can come to the meeting and go, I've done it all. And they feel really good. And I'm the same. If it's not in my diary, it's not happening. I do it with my family. They'll say, all right, you ready for Sunday? And I'm like, what's Sunday? Is it in my diary? Because if it's not, it's gone.
Yeah, I think I'm going that way as well, for sure. I've definitely got rid of the paper diary now. It's you have to have a synced diary with everyone else. Now I talk about there's something unique to you that I really want to talk to you about. I love when you've told me these stories before. You were part of a TV show about recruitment. I mean, it amazes me. Yeah, recruitment, we often talk about, is such a big, important industry. And yet, apart from recruiters going on The Apprentice, there's actually very little about it on telly. There's very little kind of in popular culture. But yeah, you were involved in this TV show. So talk us through it. And yeah, I think there's so much about how is recruitment perceived? Why was the show there? And yeah, what did you learn from going through the process?
Yeah, actually, it was an international cast. So one of the things that I learnt straight away was how recruitment is perceived in the States, in Germany, in Australia. I just started working in Australia. This is 2017, and I just started working over there. So certainly in other cultures, Japan as well, recruitment seemed really highly regarded, certainly compared to the UK here. So that was lovely to see and have those discussions. So this was the movement. This was a TV show that's on Amazon Prime, and it was 3 continents against each other. So the Americas against Europe, against APAC, actually combinations of continents. And you had 3 from each, and they had to pitch an idea. And the aim was the first day, they all get to pitch their idea. So Dragon's Den, Shark Tank-esque, 2 minutes. That's all they had. They travelled all this way. And there were 30, I would say, because there was about 50 of us in all for the whole group, for a week in a castle with the most amount of suits of armour I've ever seen. I think it is the castle with the most amounts of suits of armour in it, for 5 days. So what an experience to bring together. So Anne Swain was the MC of it. You had Miles Lloyd, that was the head of the European team that I was part of. And we got to see these people from all over the world come and pitch ideas. Then from there, they would then go in a head-to-head with someone else. So throughout the week, people got dropped out. So from the 9, it went to the 6th. They were then put into pairs and pitched against each other. And then the winner of that, the 3 went on. What was lovely, it was a bit like The Apprentice. So the tasks along the way, they were supported by people like myself, coaches, people from in the industry. So they'd take this nugget of an idea for a business, which was pitched. They'd then work on them and help and support them. So those ideas and getting those people together for a day or so to then get to the next bit, that they then have the head-to-head and be able to push forward. So I got allocated 2 gentlemen who ended up in the head-to-head together, actually, with each other. And then both of those did really well. And actually, the guy, the one that came better off in the head-to-head, had done really badly in the first session, but we love the idea, so we put it through. So everyone was like, what? How did he turn around? How has he suddenly gone from that to that? So that was lovely to see, because he really took on the ideas and he listened, which was great. And that's one of the critical things of a recruiter. Do you listen? And then from there, so we've got Glyn of North Star against Justin of Recruiter Insider. Both of those went on to have businesses, and Glyn actually did win the whole show. So they were the 2 I was involved in. And it was £250,000 worth of investment for the business. So, I mean, not to be sniffed at in any way, shape or form. But you've got these people from all over the world coming together. And I just, obviously I love people. I love talking to people. And therefore, that opportunity. So I've now worked with some of those people in Japan, in Melbourne, in Sydney, in Germany, in Dubai, because all of that became open to me. All of these wonderful people that are there to support the industry and to make it a better place. Glyn, I believe, sold his company, and 7 years on, I am actually part of the board for Recruiter Insider, which is a feedback. Yay, we're back to our feedback platform for recruiters. Started off as just candidates, but it's candidates and clients and individuals now, consultants for performance reviews. So it's all types of feedback within our industry. Really, really helpful So yeah, if you've not heard of that, do have a look at that as well. So what an opportunity that our industry creates these things. And whether it's like Recfest this year, I was meant to be going home at like 5 o'clock, about 8 o'clock. I suddenly realised maybe I should, because we were all just sitting and talking and updating and meeting new people. You just don't know who's going to be there, what opportunity that could lead to in the future. So always have your eyes open, always be friendly, always be kind. And what can you do for that other person is sort of my first stance, really, which is what recruitment's all about anyway. It's, okay, how can I help you? Because I know that pay it forward, it will come back at some point to me.
Yeah. And it's such a good summary, I think. How can I help you is almost how you describe the word consultant, the job title consultant. So we come back to that. We sit down with our clients, and within our expertise, we say, look, how can we help you? I think that's where the value can lie and will lie in the future, even as things change. I love that. You talked there about everyone supporting each other and there being experts there to support. Obviously, you run the recruiting gym, which has offered so much support to so many people. It was massively helpful, a really good online resource during COVID, but before and since then, there's so many different options. So people listening to this, absolutely follow Angela, follow the recruiting gym, and make the most of these resources that are out there. And linked to that, learn from all these different people in all these different places, as you say. This is part of what I'm trying to do with this podcast as well. Bring different voices together so you can understand, what does Dubai feel like? What does the recruitment industry look like in Japan? There's so much we can learn by talking to each other. So on that note, thank you so much for joining us today, sharing your amazing experiences, your international experiences, your on-screen experiences. Hopefully I'll bring you back in to dive deeper into some of these ideas in the future.
I would love to do that. Thanks for the invite, John. Really love that. Thank you.
Thanks again to Angela for sharing her incredible experience and insights. 3 things stood out for me. First, the positive way she frames our industry and the work we do. Every story she told was an example of the value we bring and the difference we can make in the world. Second, Angela's description of our jobs being 15 roles in one, and the opportunities this gives us to excel in the parts we enjoy and become really high value recruiters. And third, her very tangible advice around everything, from explaining our value to clients through to locking in feedback sessions and making it as easy as possible for clients to get involved in the process. If you found the show valuable, please leave a review and remember to subscribe or follow the show on your podcast app. You can also get more insights and inspiration by signing up to my added value emails on Substack. You can find the link in the show notes. Now, go create some value. Thank you to Atlas for sponsoring the Value of Recruitment podcast. To learn more about how Atlas is creating an AI platform that helps recruitment agencies generate more placements with less effort, visit recruitwithatlas.com.